Let me start with the truth that most people never hear. Stop calling your coping mechanisms your personality. The version of you that's hyper independent, the one who shuts down instead of opening up, the one who overthinks everything, or feels everything, or feels nothing at all. That wasn't you. That was the version of you that had to become to survive. A lot of people walk around believing this is just who I am. But no, it's who you had to become. If you grew up in chaos, instability, illness, emotional unpredictability, neglect, or pressure, you probably learned pretty quickly that your feelings don't matter if survival is a priority. So you built a personality around the crisis, not around your potential, not around your desires, not around your softness, not around your real self. So sometimes your personality is often just an adaptation. And when you live in that adaptation long enough, you start mistaking the armor for the person inside. Let me talk about my own life for a second, because this is not theory, this is lived experience. When I had cancer at 12, everything just moved way too quickly for me to even understand the gravity and seriousness of the situation. Those years, those formative years when you're supposed to be a kid and when you're supposed to be figuring out who you are, I spent trying just to survive. There were so many life milestones just stacked on top of each other, back to back. So I just didn't have the luxury of unpacking the seriousness of anything. I didn't have the chance to process fear or grief or anger. I just kept going because I had to. So by the time I turned 16, dating started being a thing. College applications, leaving home for the first time, trying to build a future, trying to feel normal, trying to feel like everybody else my age when none of it felt normal for me. So looking back on it now, I realized that survival age and formative age overlapped for me. And that's not something that children are built for. Nor should they have to be. I wasn't strong. I was probably in shock. I was adapting. And that version of me became my default personality without me even choosing it. And then years later, the stroke happened. And honestly, and I will say it's taken me a very, very long time to get to be able to see this perspective. I think life and the universe sat me the fuck down because it just knew I had never taken any amount of time or any breath to unpack all of that. It was like life said, yeah, no, we got to deal with this. You cannot outrun this forever. I don't know why my personal life lessons have to come with physical collapse, but here we are. Apparently that's the universe's fucked up way of getting my attention. And it's worked so far, but if the universe is listening, I'm good. I've got it. No more trials, please. And I hope that if you're watching this or you're listening to this and you don't wait until life literally puts you on your ass to face your shit. So I hope you hear what I'm saying and spot your patterns earlier than I did. Because healing gets a whole lot harder when your body forces you to stop. And eventually it will. The survival version of you is impressive. She gets shit done. She doesn't break down. She doesn't ask for much. Doesn't rock the boat. She reads the room often before she reads herself. She adapts faster than she resets. But she isn't you. She's the response, the shield, the emergency version. The real you is underneath all of that armor. And she's not fragile. She's just honest. She's the one who actually knows what she wants. She's the one who feels things without apologizing. And she's also the one who can ask for what she needs without checking to see if it's too inconvenient for somebody else. You're not trying to become this person. You're just trying to remember this person. The version of you before the world demanded a tougher one. And here's where people get stuck. When life finally gives you safety, you don't trust it. And that's also something that I struggle with now. Why? Because your nervous system literally got built into a storm. And peace feels like the eye and not the exit. You think you don't trust people, but maybe it's because you just don't trust peace. And you're so used to rehearsing danger that safety actually feels like a setup. Did you know that when childhood trauma happens before the age of 25, when your brain is still developing, your nervous system wires itself around that threat? So your brain learns, stay alert, don't relax, don't trust stability, expect the worst. That is how I operated for so long. So your adult personality becomes an echo of the environment that you grew up in and not a reflection of who you truly are. That means you weren't born guarded, you learned it. You weren't naturally independent, you had no choice. And you weren't emotionless, you just didn't have time to feel. So your identity was shaped by urgency and not authenticity. So, how do you meet the real you? I mean, here are a few things that I've tried that I still work on all the time. Stop rushing your way out of discomfort. I had to learn to slow down enough to hear myself again. I let my feelings start showing up without shutting them down. And this is a hard one because it's so out of my comfort zone, but practicing letting good things just be good. Let safe people get close, even if your body tenses at first. Create space for softness without labeling it a weakness. And be gentle with yourself because your survival self isn't something that you shame. She literally saved you, but she doesn't need to run the show anymore. And the real you, the one that never had the space to grow, can finally breathe. And just remember a few things. You weren't cold, you were cautious. You weren't distant, you were just overwhelmed. You weren't and aren't unlovable, you were unprotected. But now, you can choose to spot these patterns and choose something different for yourself. So this can be your chapter when you stop performing strength and start experiencing safety, where you can stop confusing your coping mechanisms with your character, and you can finally stop carrying the weight of a life that you've already outgrown. This is Rebuilt Different, and today, maybe choose to meet the version of you who never needed the armor. Just the chance. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. That's been another episode of Rebuilt Different. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends, and I will see you guys next week.